Hello, welcome back to another video. If you're wondering, yes, I'm still at my mother's house. I get my keys back in a couple of weeks, no, a week on Monday, which is good. Anyway, today's video is a guide to training after HA. Now, I get a lot of questions about the sort of training that I do now, and now I've recovered from HA, and whether people can like train in HA, and whether, you know, life gets back to normal, or like you're able to do these things after HA. Now, I would say that, look, recovery isn't forever, for as long as you like lean into it and really go for it. But I have found that I am a lot more sensitive to different types of training and my recovery. I still have to pay such close attention to my recovery compared to maybe some others that maybe hadn't have experienced it maybe. So I do have to like really focus on that. But I thought to be honest, I think nowadays I feel as though my head is focused on it a lot. But I don't know if I'm just comparing to what it was like pre-HA, like pre-HA recovery, because I never focused on it. So who knows? Anyway, yeah, I get asked a lot of questions around like the training and how to train after HA. Now, I would say that there are other factors that you want to focus on, but I sort of broke it down into 6 key things. The first thing is you need to have a good program. Or you need to be you don't have to be following a progressive overload weightlifting training program if that isn't what you want to do. But what I am saying is like getting back into training after HA, I would really recommend to ease into it, and if you can, and like follow some sort of plan, just so if there is a time where your body is absolutely messed up again, or you know you miss another period or something, because you followed a plan, we can look at sort of where that has happened, and that's sort of what I work on with my clients. So, you know, we always ease into it, and we practice lots of different types of movement, and my goal with my clients is to try and get them excited for moving their bodies in different ways, rather than just potentially how they were doing it before, whether they were, I don't know, doing loads and loads of hip thrusts because they were trying to look a certain way. Instead, now I maybe would get them to do things like handstand walks or things like that just sort of get them to like celebrate their bodies a little bit more. So I would always have a good plan that you also enjoy. So if you're someone that you're like, actually, I don't want to follow a plan because I was like this for a while, then that is fine, but I would just really focus on easing yourself into it and going really slow and steady. So if maybe classes are your thing, maybe your first workout should be like a yoga class or like a Zumba class or something like that, that's maybe not as like taxing on the body compared to like a HIIT class or like a Barry's boot camp and stuff like that. So yeah, the first thing is get a good plan and get a focus, and really look at your like week or month as a whole, and look at, are the movements that I'm doing going to benefit me? Do I enjoy the movements? And then how can I factor my training around my week so it doesn't become too intense and you feel like you have to do stuff? The second thing would be that you have adequate rest and recovery. Now, this should come hand in hand with your good program. If someone's written you a program and there's like no rest and no recovery in it, then I would get a new program. But I always start in every program with a really good warm up. So you want to prep the body for the movements that we're about to do. And then afterwards, the idea, exercise is stressing the body. So we want to bring that central nervous system down a little bit and really help the body repair. So any mobility and stretching and not sort of like, bringing the body back down and calming it post-workout is really beneficial. And then after HA, if you had HA, you really want to actually like really focus on those rest days. Like I said loads of times, we need to ease ourselves into it. So while you might in your head really want to aim to train maybe like 4 or 5 times a week at the start and easing yourself back into training, we might be looking at sort of like 2 sessions a week and really focusing on those rest and those recovery. When I talk about recovery, I don't just mean rest days. I mean food, I mean like self-care, baths, bringing your central nervous system down, resting, quieting the mind, de-stressing, all of that plays a role in your recovery. And then the third thing is, of course, proper fuel. Now, we've got to think that any movement is burning energy in our bodies, and with and exercise is also stress on the body. We need to be fueling for this type of movement. So you might have been eating X amount of food in recovery, and now you're going to add in an extra bit of movement. You've got to be thinking, right, okay, I've got to be fueling for that. So that is where it's really important to remember carbohydrates for fuel, protein for recovery, like the timings, making sure you're having a pre-workout and a post-workout, making sure you're not leaving the body too long without food. So there are quite a few things to think about, but if you've got a good program, you're prioritizing your rest and your recovery and you're fueling for yourself, like physically, that's a really good place to start. But then I also think there are 3 more aspects that is just as important. The fourth thing would be that having a mindset that you enjoy this, and a mindset that celebrates the body movement and like the things that you can do and pushing yourself in those ways, rather than a mindset that's like, I've got to do this because I'm shit. Like, I've got to push myself. I've got to do this because I'll be better then, and things like that. It's like, rather than like, actually, do you know what? I really want to push myself to do this because it's sick that my body can do this. And I think just making sure that your mindset and your approach to training after HA and your approach to moving after HA is because you think it's sick that our bodies can do this stuff. Because I still shock myself with some of the strength, and I'm like, hold on, hang on a second, how can I do this? And I look forward to going in and seeing what my body can do. Of course, it's still hard. I'm not suggesting it's hard, and like there is still some like mental shit that you have to be like, no, right, come on, Chloe, like dig deep, I can do this. But it's like, I'm doing it because I think it's cool that my body can do it. Whereas pre-HA recovery, I was doing it all because I felt as if I had to, and I hated my body, and I felt like I needed to do it. What number am I on? 5. Fifth thing is to always stay connected to yourself and your body. I don't know about you, but before recovery, I was very much oh, it's the dishwasher, it made me jump. Before recovery, a bit noisy, isn't he? Before recovery, I would... Can you hear that? I don't know if you can hear that. There, it's beeping from the dishwasher if you can't. I would wake up for a workout because that was on my plan, and I literally wouldn't give a Scooby if that was the case. If my I'm so distracted by the beeping of the dishwasher. Right. If I had a program and I had to wake up, and on my weekly plan was a workout, my body was absolutely done in and it really needed extra rest, I would still wake up because that was what the plan said. And after HA, we can't be doing that. We really want to stay connected to our mind and our body and how we're feeling, because how we're feeling and our bodies are going to give us signs about if we might need an extra rest day, especially if you're working with your menstrual cycle, which I always do when I'm working with clients, is that, changes in your hormones and things like that might mean that you need extra rest, or it might mean you need extra fuel, or you might need to change your approach to training. So it's like looking at that and remembering, like, every single day or every time you go to the gym, or whatever it is that you do for movement, how am I feeling today? Am I feeling all right? And of course, sometimes you just get you're just a little bit sleepy and you're like, no, actually my body's fine. I'm just feeling like I can't be bothered. And of course, then if you want to, if you can rev yourself up, I'm all for it. Sometimes we do just need a bit of motivation and a bit of willpower, but that's why it's so important that if you're staying connected with your body, you'll know the signs and symptoms if you do need to take a rest day. And it's about being flexible with I might plan my week with training, but something might crop up with work I'm just feeling a little bit more tired, and I'm like, actually, do you know what? That's not going to work for me now, and I'll skip the workout, or I'll do a walk instead. Do you know what I mean? And I feel I'm so much more flexible with things like that rather than being so regimented. And then finally, the last thing, and is a really, really big tip, is to manage our triggers. Now, I don't know how basically my old gym, I was found really, really, really triggering for a variety of reasons. And that doesn't work for me. I also find what else is triggering for me, like just normal gyms where we go in and we do like 3 reps of 12 and it's hip thrust and it's like that sort of strength training, I find really triggering for me, because it reminds me, to me, that type of training reminds me that I'm only really doing this just to change my body. Whereas I could maybe approach like yoga, or I'll go to a gym with like less mirrors, CrossFit for example, or I'll try like a boutique gym class with friends and that kind of thing. That's how I can manage my triggers. So it's like, I know that those things are the things that's going to make me feel good. As soon as I start going because I've got a purpose to look a certain way, or I'm going to a gym where I do find it really triggering, or I'm around certain situations where, you do have to remember that there's loads of different reasons why people go to the gym, and a real big common one is to lose weight. So if you've suffered from disordered eating or eating disorders, and you're going back into that environment, you've got to have the tools there to manage those triggers, because, those people are there and they're all on their journey and that's up to them. But you've still got to protect yourself, So yeah, just managing those triggers and just being aware. Like, I'm not saying avoid all these situations, but because I don't avoid all the situations, but it's just like reminding yourself. I really love the practice of like pretending to zip myself up. So if I go into an environment where I know like calories or changing my body size or stuff like that is going to be spoken about, I'll just protect myself a bit and just be like, okay, it's fine. Like, that's their journey and that's not mine. And if at any point I do feel like I can feel a bit triggered by it, and that tends to happen around my period where I'm like feeling a little bit like, and like feeling a bit bigger and a bit inflamed and just feeling a bit more groggy, I might just take myself out of those situations. And it's just about being so connected and things like that with your body, and just understanding that your path is your path and their path is their path, and just trying to, I guess, protecting yourself. And that is my guide to training after HA. Love you, bye.